Sasuke Uchiha is one of the most iconic characters in all of anime. He had a range of interesting abilities, an undeniable cool factor, and a storyline so compelling that the plot could deviate from the main character for weeks and even months on end in what fans dubbed Sasuke Shippuden, and it did not miss a single step. In fact, some would argue that much of early Shippuden reached many of its glorious highs because of Sasuke. There is a period of time when Sasuke became my favorite character in Naruto. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was definitely in early Shippuden when his storyline was taking central focus. And this, by far, was my favorite version of Sasuke Uchiha. He maintained many of the qualities that made him a fan favorite in the first place. All of those cool abilities he had in Part 1, he mastered them, expanded upon them, and made them even better. The way he would utilize his Sharingan in combination with Taijutsu, Kenjutsu, which is basically swordsmanship, his elemental jutsu like the Chidori and all its variants, and the Curse Mark made him one of the most versatile fighters in the series. And he was given a lot of really cool fights back to back to showcase all of these amazing new abilities. Even Naruto, the main character of the series, didn't have a fight half as interesting or consequential as any of these encounters until he fought Pain halfway through the series. It's easy to see why Sasuke became such a fan favorite because when he was on screen, the plot was moving at a very fast pace, and cool things were always happening. But the reason many of us liked him was because of his character. After the time skip, Sasuke had matured mentally more than anything. He had an honor code, refused to kill innocent people, and went out of his way to free as many people as possible that Orochimaru kept captive. His anger towards Itachi was controlled, focused, rational, and with purpose. It was incredible watching Sasuke operate with such lethal and precise efficiency. However, there was a major shift in Sasuke's character after his battle with Itachi and subsequent encounter with Tobi. And we all know the reason, it's very obvious. After learning the truth about Itachi and the Hidden Leaf's role in the persecution and annihilation of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke snaps. And I think this is the beginning of the polarization of Sasuke Uchiha within the Naruto fandom. And for me personally, how he went from one of my favorite characters to one of my least favorite narratively. To this day, there are people who love Sasuke and defend him fiercely. I don't think they necessarily justify his actions, but they do feel like he has a right to feel the way he does. And I definitely understand that position. However, there came a point when Sasuke went a little too far in his revenge quest, and many of us went from sympathizing with Sasuke to being like,
No, she's crazy and she needs to go down.
But I do get it. Actually, scratch that. I know a lot of us like to say we get it, but we couldn't possibly understand exactly what Sasuke is feeling since we aren't in his shoes. He experienced an unspeakable tragedy as a child, endured trauma that undoubtedly altered the chemistry of his brain in the darkest ways imaginable, and was gaslit and manipulated his entire life into hating and killing his brother who always loved him. While the people responsible seemingly face no consequences, and the world at large is blissfully ignorant of it all. I can see why people defend Sasuke because he's easy to sympathize with on paper, especially after going on this journey with him. It's completely rational. And I suspect it's somewhat satisfying watching someone who is wronged so horrifically and unjustly seek retribution no matter the method. Some people love these type of stories. Even if the character ends up going too far in their quest, they find this type of tragedy, this type of fall from grace, irresistible and will justify the balancing of the scales in any way, shape, or form, regardless of the outcome or how it affects the character. The problem was never our ability to understand or sympathize with Sasuke because he already had that. I think for a lot of us, he became a character that we could no longer root for. Instead, he became a character that we pitied, and in some cases, developed outright disdain for. Sasuke was so blinded by his hatred that it turned him into someone else. I know that's the whole point of this transformation and what was being conveyed during this part of his storyline. This is an exploration of how revenge ultimately corrupts the person who pursues it and leaves you feeling empty in the end. And if that's solely what Kishimoto was going for, I'd say he did a really good job. Maybe too good of a job. But if you're someone who expected a little more from the Sasuke character than a stereotypical revenge drives character insane plot, I can see why you'd be a little disappointed. Especially when there were other paths Sasuke could have taken that wouldn't have compromised some of his best qualities and instead would have made him even more interesting than he already was. I want to put things into perspective. Remember when Sasuke and Itachi confronted each other in that random cave before their actual battle? Itachi asked Sasuke if he's going to go crazy and attack him without thinking like last time. But Sasuke is much more measured, composed, and precise at this point in the series. It even impresses Itachi. His controlled rage is far more menacing and threatening than the mentally unstable Sasuke who is emotionally erratic and making obvious tactical mistakes, particularly throughout the 5 Kage Summit arc, to the point where he had to be saved multiple times by everyone around him, such as Gaara, Zetsu, and Tobi. It felt like a regression in his character, as if this rage-filled version of Sasuke was now in control instead of the more calm and effective one. And personally, from a narrative standpoint, it still works. It makes sense. Sasuke regressing back to a child mentally after spending his entire adulthood focused on one task, and then accomplishing that task, it makes sense. It just isn't as interesting to watch. And this definitely isn't to say that Taka Sasuke didn't have some incredibly cool moments in this arc. I think we all know aura farming when we see it, and Sasuke was a peak aura farmer during this time in the series. It was still incredibly fun to watch him, and he was still a complete badass sometimes. But I want you to consider something. What if Taka Sasuke pulled up near the 5 Kage Summit, but with heavy Sasuke's level of poise, patience, and tactical clarity? If this was the case, I have no doubt in my mind that Tobi's plan to hold some of the Kage hostage may have been a bit more likely to succeed. And that would have been a far more fascinating scenario than seeing him rush in without thinking and ending up like this. This goes to a much larger conversation on which path I would have liked to see Sasuke take after learning the truth about Itachi. Obviously, you can tell I wasn't the biggest fan of the direction he went in, wanting to destroy the Leaf Village, wasting Itachi's sacrifice, threatening thousands of innocent lives, treating your comrades like disposable trash, and the slow slip into varying degrees of insanity and authoritarianism made him much less complex, despite some arguments to the contrary. A lot of subtlety and nuance that made his character really great disappeared. That's not to say that Sasuke is a poorly written character here, but you can see why he lost a lot of appeal among some of the fans. However, I can't picture Sasuke going back to the Leaf Village and pretending everything is okay either. That just seems patently ridiculous, unrealistic, and equally as unsatisfying. I think there is another option here, a way for Sasuke to make genuine reform to the shinobi system that brought the Uchiha clan to the brink of extinction. It would have involved a middle-of-the-road approach that combined Taka Sasuke's hatred and passion with Hebi Sasuke's poise, honor, tactical clarity, and precision. This version of Sasuke would have been unstoppable, much more effective at achieving everything he wanted, and probably would have been on Madara's level in terms of his ability to control the plot and sway outcomes to his will. An interesting comparison would be Light from Death Note, Lelouch from Code Geass, or Geto and Kenjaku from Jujutsu Kaisen. A character that takes on the entire verse with their intellect and will alone. Instead, Sasuke went down the Daenerys Targaryen route at the end of Season 8, and that was pretty unpopular and hard to defend. I think Sasuke's downfall was short-sightedness, which is ironic given that he has the Sharingan. He lost sight of what he truly wanted long-term, and instead, even after attaining his revenge, focused on the short-term, wanting to spread the pain all around. It's why his motivations were constantly changing, and for some of us, why this part of his character arc felt like a tedious detour of someone throwing a tantrum when compared to the Sasuke we preferred. Ultimately, it felt like many of Sasuke's actions, such as trying to kill Sakura and waging war against even the innocent citizens of the Leaf Village, felt more like a plot device than meaningful character development. I think his character and the plot as a whole would have benefited greatly if instead of being portrayed as a rabid dog that needed to be put down, Sasuke became a true political force to rival the 5 great nations, much like Madara eventually became. And that's not to say that Madara didn't have his certified crash-out moments, because he definitely did. But again, Madara never seemed like he was short-sighted, and that's the difference. It also would have given Sasuke a lot more credibility in his bid to become Hokage. It would have made the Naruto and Sasuke rematch a lot more interesting as well, because instead of trying to rescue Sasuke from the darkness again, which was already the case in part 1, it would have been a true clash of ideologies in which the audience is actually conflicted on who would make a better Hokage. This version of Sasuke would not need saving, and would have had a legitimate claim to be the next leader of the Hidden Leaf Village or the shinobi world as a whole. And I would have loved to see that play out. And side note, Naruto is a much better friend than I am, because if it were up to me and I heard all the crazy stuff Sasuke was doing and was planning to do to the Leaf Village, I would have shoved a Rasengan right up his ass, and I'm not even joking. But again, that's a testament to how great of a friend Naruto is, and how the two of them working together opened a road to a brighter future where the tragedy that befell the Uchiha clan never had to happen again. It brings it full circle from the final episodes of the very first arc back in the Land of Waves, where the entire team discusses the true purpose of shinobi, if they are merely tools to be used, or if there is a better path that can be created. But tell me what you guys think. Did you like Sasuke's character arc after he killed Itachi, or did you become less of a fan? Is there anything about his storyline that you would have changed? And do you have a preference between Happy Sasuke and Taka Sasuke? Leave your thoughts down below, and as always, thank you for watching.